being pumped into rural India, I think generally is very good for the overall economy. So India will remain, I think, an investment destination for the foreseeable future. Now, there'll be flows and ebbs depending on valuations and depending on withdrawal of stimulus that might happen, let's say, in the summer next year. But in the journey, those are hiccups which you would expect, right? You can't have stuff just going up endlessly in one direction. Absolutely.
Tarun, stay with us. We'll take a quick commercial break. Come back, talk about how to invest in these markets. A lot of liquidity around. Is it a new normal, as Bill Gross of PIMCO put it? We'll talk about that and more. Be right back. We've got with us Mr. Tarun Kataria, CEO at Religare Capital Markets India. Tarun, we were talking about India being in the right place right now in the global scheme of things. Tell me, what are you telling your clients how to invest in a market like this? Everybody knows liquidity is abundant. There's a lot of printing going on around the world.
Yeah. But
there's always the liquidity risk as well, right? So how do you invest on the basis of that? It's unknowable. It might go on for some time, for some more time, but then if that's the basis on which you're making decisions to invest, that's quite risky.
Yeah, but I think if you believe that the equity as an asset class is a buy and hold asset class, now some people can say, okay, in these markets, these are traders markets, but if you believe, as I do, that equity is a buy and hold asset class, then you have to step back and look at what are the conditions in the underlying economy that suggest or don't suggest that you ought to do it. Now, as we said a little while ago, India as a story is probably unparalleled, right? Even in the emerging world, whether you compare it to Russia or Brazil or China or wherever you're, Indonesia for that matter, it's a heck of a story because it's got all the facets that would generally support 8% GDP growth. And so then you sort of say within the confines of that, what are the sub-stories, whether it's an auto sub-story or whether it's a motorcycle sub-story or whether it's an FMCG sub-story. Then you start saying, okay, this is how X makes more sense than Y. And that's the sort of the distribution of the product, the ideation that, as I said, comes from my research team, needs to be brought across within the context of what's a very positive macro story. And that's really what you do. And yes, you will have hiccups because actually $25 billion of FI flows have come into the market in the last 9 or 10 months. 2 billion, 3 billion might reverse if that sort of event happens, or as I say, in the summer they start to withdraw some of the stimulus. But the long-term story remains.
Competition, for example, is so intense now. Take any business in India, for example. It's getting quite hard, including the media, for example. It's getting quite hard to make money because of competition. That's one risk, and there are many more out there, right?
Yeah. Well, listen, we've learned in the last decade to operate in this, I argue, the most competitive market on the planet, right? There's no business that's an oligopoly, whether it's 9 cellular providers in each circle or 40 investment banks and brokerage companies. We all find our niche. Back to the question of earnings, so far at least it would suggest that the earnings momentum, for the most part, has kept up. The question is, what will dampen that? I think generally demand is there. It'll always come down to the interest rate scenario, right? And as we were talking in the break, the absence of infrastructure, to my mind, forget the fact that there's no infrastructure, it actually becomes inflationary. Because in its simplest form, getting something from A to B becomes that much more expensive. It becomes that much more expensive. Your CPI, WPI stats look different. Therefore, you've got to raise interest rates. Therefore, the economy slows down. That's the risk of the impact on the bottom line, in my opinion, because your top line slows a little bit, bottom line input cost goes up, transport cost goes up, friction costs go up. That's the risk. Sans that,
lack of infrastructure.
Infrastructure is inflationary, and therefore its impact on interest rates. To me, that's sort of the fly in the ointment for continued earnings growth. Okay. Fundamentally, demand, I think, is there because there are more and more people coming into the consuming class every year. So it's the input cost, which is the issue to me.
Is that one of the reasons why probably a lot of the infrastructure sectors, say for example, capital goods, power ancillary, utilities, construction companies, stocks have sort of underperformed the market as the market sort of paying attention?
I think so, right? Because I think we all know that the need for infrastructure is there. It's the execution of that is always sort of underperforming.
So how do you sort of invest in these markets? What are you telling clients to do? How to find opportunities? Top down, bottoms up? What you're looking at?
I mean, top down is sectorial, right? So there are sectors that
So far, what's done very well has been consumer related, consumer servicing businesses. A lot of new businesses have come to the market. That's done extremely well till now.
Well, financial services done hugely, right? Hugely well over the last 6 or 8 months because, as I say, that's the growth engine of India. FMCG has done well, auto's done well. I mean, all these sectors that are sort of billion people related, if you want to put it that way, have done exceedingly well. And remember also particularly well because the impact of lower input costs starting a year, 18 months ago is coming through now. Now, the question is how do we sustain it? And frankly, that's the trick of the CFO over the next 12, 18 months.
Do you think the other portion, the infrastructure CAPEX team will also start to participate?
Either you participate because people, the demand for the product is going up, or there's sector rotation on the part of investment managers. Now, sector rotation is great, but fundamentally what drives it is long-term demand for the product. And until we get the execution of our infrastructure projects right, that will likely underperform a little bit.
Okay. Tarun, financial services is a space where you still see a fair bit of value. And what there? Banks or non-banking companies?
I think both. I think if you look at growth of financing in India over the next 10 years, it's just got nothing but upside, right? As more and more people come into the financing marketplace. So whether it's banks, whether it's NBFCs,